We're in for a wild night.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 138 of Born to be Wild, a Wild exclusive Hearthstone podcast where we have fun hanging out with friends, talking about the Wild format of Hearthstone and spotlighting members of the Wild community. I'm your host, as always, Nate Wolf. It is great to be back on this beautiful Friday evening here in Orange County, California, live from my mom and dad's house. But I'm so happy to be back. Everything is going very well, and we should be in our new place in the next month or so. I'm really looking forward to that. But yeah, I'm here with two of my favorite people. Hydra, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing awesome because the first week back from the holidays where I work is always inventory week, and we have like millions of things, and we spent the entire week counting stuff. Like, imagine just spending the entire time counting like itty bitty things like O-rings and screws and washers and
oh gosh, wow.
oh yeah. So I'm extremely glad to be here because that stuff sucks. There's no place I'd rather be.
I love it.
Yeah, I'm doing great.
Oh, good. And yeah, welcome back, SchmoopDad. How are you?
I haven't seen you guys since last year.
Whoa.
Dang,
it's been a while.
Yeah, I just somebody had to. No, it's awesome. Happy to be back on. Glad I can fill in, and excited to be back on the show, talking about what we got to talk about tonight.
Yeah,
love it. Well, we got a packed show for y'all. So for those of you joining us for the first time, welcome aboard. Let me briefly explain how this show works. We record this podcast live every Friday evening at twitch.tv/borntobewildhs, and the video version of this podcast is then posted to YouTube shortly thereafter. Audio versions are also distributed to all podcast apps, wherever you are watching, listening, or absorbing via osmosis this podcast today. Thank you. Yes. You.
That's right. Hey, thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you so much, especially to the people who are here live watching on Twitch. Really happy to have you with us. Excuse me, I'm being super rude and eating pizza while we're recording the show, so apologies. I'll stop chewing. Wanted to say a very quick but important thank you to Shokunin, the executive producer of our show, and also thank you to Armorn and all the rest of our patrons. We really appreciate your support. It's kind of funny. I'm in the process of getting new artwork made, and anyways, I was reminded of how much we appreciate you all because you're funding the artwork. So really excited to see it come out. Probably in the next couple few weeks, we'll have some really fun stuff to show you guys. We're trying something new.
Napper merch?
Yes, it will be actually. Once the artwork's done, we can put it on new merch. So
super excited.
It should be fun. Definitely. Some Death Knight things coming up, and but we're trying a new idea, so we'll see how it comes out. Real quick content plug for anybody that's interested in supporting the show. If you want to support us, 100% free. Like, comment, subscribe to our stuff on YouTube. It just helps people find us and helps with the algorithms or whatever. If you're somebody who uses Twitch a lot, we do have some emotes. You can get some by subscribing to the channel. That's free if you use Amazon Prime. We also have some that you can get for free no matter what, just by following, and you can see when we go live and all that stuff. We record every Friday night. Yeah, and also we do have merch. There is a merch shop. These beautiful people on the screen here wearing our t-shirts. I love it. And so look, one of them is even here twice. How crazy.
Whoa.
The beard is a little bit longer now, I think, but looking good as always. There's a link to all of this stuff if you go to our website. So borntobewildhs.com. There's links to the YouTube, there's links to the merch shop, there's links to the Patreon if you're interested in doing that, and links to everything else. We've got a whole archive up if you're interested in listening to old episodes, and then a separate page for all of the lore episodes. So they're specific if you're interested in hearing the stories behind Hearthstone cards. We've got a bunch of dedicated lore episodes with Goliath that are super fun. Lastly, if you're interested in interacting with any of us personally, we do have a Discord server. It's free to join. It's a really fun online community of friends that we've made throughout the whole world. We hang out, we share deck lists, we chat, share screenshots and all that stuff. My favorite channel always is the funny username channel where everybody shares stuff. I think gosh, there were some good ones. There's always good ones. Let's see. What was the best one of last week? Oh, come to daddy. There you go.
That's SchmoopDaddy's alt, apparently.
Yeah, 100%
Nice.
confirmed. I have it all.
Nice.
Getting in the alt game's fun, right? You know.
There's and speaking of alts, Dr. BUMD, there's one called Dr. Fart. So there you go. They're so funny. They're so funny. You got to check it out. But anyways, let's do the show.
Yeah, let's move into how our weeks were in. So Sheep is not here, but Nate, I don't know if you would like to speak on behalf. We have a nice little image to show. So if you are listening via a podcast app, maybe you should tune in on YouTube so you can see this little gem.
Oh, so cute. Yeah. So right. So we have a picture of little lamb on the screen here. Sheep's new baby. Very, very, very cute. And Sheep was kind enough to provide the Sheep meta report. So I'm just gonna read it for you. It's amazing. You guys, so we're all dads here, right? You remember what happened? I told Sheep this would happen. Like your life changes, right? But I think one of the biggest change was like no more sleep. No more sleep. It's just gone.
No sleep for Sheep.
Oh God, somebody clip that, please. And so here it goes. Here is the the Sheep meta report. So I'm just gonna read it. This was provided by Sheep to me earlier today. It says, fallen out of the Sheep meta report, sleep. Baths previously in S tier have been replaced by showers on the C tier. Being at home is temporarily off the meta, but living in the hospital has rumblings of a nerf in the foreseeable future, which could bring being at home back into the meta. The Nintendo Switch has made a surprising reoccurrence with single-player games with pause functionality, as well as its mobile nature promising to keep it meta, though it's still too early in the expansion to tell for sure. We don't make crafting recommendations this close to an expansion release, especially for Wild. Making a new arrival on the Sheep meta report are bottle feedings, now that the lamb has started that thing. Tube feedings, while they were popular in the meta briefly, have seen a massive drop in play rate. Still, the tube feeder is likely to see a wild ban anyways in the coming days. There's likely more, but the Sheep meta report is about to be interrupted by another feeding, keeping consistent with the meta itself. I love it.
It's amazing. Thank you, Sheep.
I really hope you've got to change that first diaper. You know which one I'm talking about.
I know the one that you're talking, the molasses.
You know which one I'm talking about. I really, and like for those at home, like we don't have to get into it. We don't have to go into detail. But
oh dear,
I'm hoping he got that experience, because if he got cheated from that experience, that's an unwaking nightmare I can't unsee. And Chief, I'm gonna be jealous if you got out of that.
It's been almost 14 years, and I still remember.
I got 2.
Yeah. So how long has it been since your kid pooped on you or peed on you? It's great.
Like 3 days. Just kidding.
Oh god.
We're not supposed to read chat, but gobbledygook. First poop is the void and steals all light. Well said, sir. Well said. This should be reported. That's really, really cool. Looking at a photo of little lamb, and yeah, no, listen, Sheep is in the middle of it. He's in the thick of it. It's that like weird, messy, kind of like the kid isn't on a schedule, so you're not on a schedule, so you're like trying to figure out a schedule, and by the time you adjust to that, like a switch flips, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, they sleep for 6 hours at a time. All right, this is new. This is interesting information. How can I use it to my advantage? You're kind of on your toes for like, I don't know, the next 18 months. So
I thought you were going to say 18 years.
I haven't. None of my children have lived that long.
Oh dear.
gosh.
All right, well, let's talk about Hearthstone, I guess.
Well, hold on. Yeah, Nate, you've been up to something new. Why don't you share that with us?
Yeah, so we started something new. It was only meant to be like a one-time thing, and then it turned into 2 times, and now it's just going to be semi-regular. No certain time or day, just kind of whenever we feel like it. But Blue Train and myself, along with Zombies Go Nom Nom and Binks, are doing another podcast called Born to be Cosmo. And I don't know how often we're going to do it, but we felt like chatting about Marvel Snap, and there was a lot to talk about. So we chatted another time, and there was still a lot more to talk about. And it was like, oh, well, maybe this is going to be a thing. It's not meant to replace this show. It's not meant to do anything like that. It's just a separate little deal. So it's been fun. We did an episode last night, actually, and it should be posted this weekend if anybody's interested in Marvel Snap. Should be fun. Yeah, so myself, Blue Train, Binks, and Zombies, and we'll see. I haven't slept a whole lot this week, so I'm looking forward to this weekend. I have played some Hearthstone, doing all my dailies and stuff, but doing a little bit of wild laddering. I usually do most of it on the weekend because the weekdays are kind of full of work and all that stuff. But played some Secret Mage, played some 40 card like Renathal Secret Mage. My brain and my heart like really want to play Fish Rogue just because I love that deck so much, but I've played it so much that I'm trying to like avoid it. But I might fall back to it anyways. I did my homework like a good student, and I played a bunch of the even Death Knight that we talked about last week, and it's really fun, and I thought it's surprisingly good because nobody knows what the deck is or how to play against it, and there's like some surprisingly large swing turns. If you can stack a board and then buff them all and win. So it's pretty fun. And that's kind of been my week.
Right on. Yeah.
Hydra, what about you? What have you been up to?
Well, so I decided day one on EU, I was feeling pretty excited about, I don't know, just trying to rank up as quick as possible. So I just like went for it right away, and 10x, by the way, and I'm no 11x person, but I spent like 2 hours and I hit rank Diamond 3.
Holy cow, dude!
On
10x too, that's a lot. Like,
yeah,
it's a lot of games. That's
2
awesome.
hours. Yeah, and so I ended up on EU getting that 12 in a row win streak achievement, which was nice. Oh yeah, I know. So my wife is sitting behind me, right, and I'm doing it's happening, babe. Just like nobody talk. Like, I gotta win one more. And then I ended up winning I guess like 3 more. So I went 14-0 at that point in time.
Oof.
Which was pretty slick. I don't mean to brag, but I was really happy. Basically.
How many wins in did you notice it was happening? Because like I find sometimes that like you're in a groove, you're going, and then you stop for a minute and you check, you're like, I've won a lot. Like, how many has that been? And you check it, it's been like 10, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that is kind of like around where it was happening, to be honest. Like I didn't fully notice how far into it I was until the 11 win mark is where I was looking at HS replay. I'm like, oh wow. Like I'm actually gonna tick over and I'm gonna get it this time. But like that's when the stress actually comes on, right? Because you don't care until that point. And it was
God, then it's like nerve-wracking, right? You're like, oh wait a minute, I'm winning a lot. I better check how much I'm winning.
That's why I'd rather not know. I'd rather not know. I'd rather just take like when I take an L, and then I check later.
Yeah. And it was kind of neat because I was in this little like pocket meta that I had of people that I was playing against at the time, because it was EU. It was like the second the server reset, right? So when I queued, like they got a better matchmaking system than they used to, but I was still seeing there was this one odd warrior I saw like every once in a while as I was climbing, and then I saw
This was day one.
it was the same player.
Yeah, but
for
it's
sure.
day one, and you're post D5 seeing this person.
It
Only so
was
many people get to D5
yeah.
on day one. You're going to see the same person multiple times.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
what it was. And then there was one. I think I shared the screenshot. One brave person tried to play a pirate warrior, which was kind of funny. Unfortunately, that did not work out well for them. I won on like turn 4 or something. I felt.
I always wonder if those people are like 9x and they happen to get to D5 because they're just like slapping around everybody at 9x, and they happen to
Possibly.
get to D5, and it's just like, okay, now you're playing real decks. How does this go?
Yeah.
I always wonder. But yeah, that's not uncommon. Like day one, post D5, it's not uncommon to play the same person, even on 10x, even on a big server like EU. Like on NA, I know like on 10x day one, I'll play the same person 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Especially post D5, because so few people have raced to that point
Mm-hmm.
and then punched it in that like you're just seeing them over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever compete in like the rat race? They used to call it the rat race, like when right when the ladder resets, the
Like
race
Gold
to legend.
Daniel used to do
So,
like at midnight.
Shia and Gold
Yeah.
Daniel would always do it. Yeah, I did it a couple of times, but like it usually falls on a weekday, and I'm not gonna like I have to be awake at work.
If you
but when
play
it
on
falls on a weekend,
I was just gonna say, if you play on EU, it's at like 3 or 4 p.m. depending on whether it's like daylight savings time or not. So,
oh well, there you go.
just saying, because that's how I was able to do this. And then, you know what's so funny is my brain is broken. I played until I lost, right? So like I got to Diamond 3 like 2 or 3 stars or whatever, and then I lost a game, and I'm like, I'm done.
I'm done.
you could punch it in. You got a day one.
I love the.
I should have kept going, to be honest, with the meta that I had, but then I had to do family stuff after. But the meta that I had, it was like a guaranteed. Probably I would have sailed in at that point, but
yeah, but if you got family stuff, you walk away. It's all right. But like,
yeah.
I've had that.
Oh, speaking of family things, Schmoopy Daddy has a family member that actually whooped my butt over on NA. So I queue up, I think it was the next day. I'm like, okay, well, let's leave EU alone for now. Let's hop over to NA. Let's play a game. Let's queue the same deck, right? So I mulligan and I get like a bunch of like 3-cost pirates. I'm like, all right, well, crap. And then I look up in the corner and I'm like, it says Schmoopy Mommy. Oh no, she's gonna kick my butt. So she did, like,
she did.
It didn't even matter. Even if I had the nuts, I think she would have completely destroyed me. Like,
you've created a monster. I just want you to know that.
It's funny because like she only really grinds. It's funny, like, so we were talking December 31st, and she's just like, oh my god, tomorrow's the first day of the month. I actually have to play Wild. And so it's like she's such a grinder when she feels like grinding. I crafted Even Shaman for her. Like, so like I think she's bored of Fish Rogue. Like she has to have, I know she's got at least 1,000 wins on Rogue. She might be approaching like 1,500. She
that's
might be
insane. That's so fast.
She's got a crazy amount of wins on Rogue. Like she can play Pirate Rogue in her sleep, but she also is very realistic about its limitations. She notices that, like, all right, I win less often. Like, these decks are doing these crazy things. So I made her my exact deck that I've had so much success with, minus the Trick Totem plus the Totem of Evil.
No Trick Totem.
Just because I don't know if she'll necessarily appreciate the RNG the same way that I do.
Yeah.
And she actually hit Legend this week. She came in at day 3.
Oh my god! Everybody's beating me. I'm slipping. I gotta catch
like
up
400 something, but like but well, Nate, it's what's kind of crazy is like you asked, you're like, all right, well, like, have you ever participated in the rat race? I think the golden age of participating in the rat race is over, because I woke up at 6 a.m. Normally I wake up at 6 a.m. and like there may be like 1 or 2 people in Legend, maybe. Since the China server shut down on December 25th, November 25th. Since the China server shut down, I woke up this month and there were 8 people in Legend already, and I recognized them. All 8 people are from China.
Dang.
So
Wow.
Well,
like the rat race is over. Like if you want to like get going, you have to start going immediately. But now for me, I'm on the East Coast, so like the rat race doesn't make a ton of sense for me because it's resetting at like 4 a.m. in the morning, and like I play a lot of Hearthstone. Those are not hours I can play Hearthstone. So it's like, it is what it is. You can't participate. But yeah, no, we got it on Even Shaman, and I don't want to
Nice.
take any more from Hydra's update on his week. But it was
Well,
very funny because I'm like, she's talking me through plays, like because I happened to be like spectating her while she was doing that. She's like, so what do you think about this play? What do you think about this play? And she's like, well, I think I want to do this, this, and that. And like I maybe gave her like one or two tips, but like she really is very hands off. Like she had an older brother who was very overbearing when it came to video games. She doesn't want a whole lot of input. So like for the most part, she figures it out herself. And
Yeah.
I might give an alternate line that opens up an avenue, and now she has to recognize when it happens and do it, which she does because she's brilliant. But I happened to look up at the name, like as the portrait was exploding. I'm like, oh my god, you just killed Hydra.
oh, that's great.
I'm like, is this actually? I'm typing in Discord. I'm like, is this actually you, Hydra? And
Oh,
he's
so
just like,
sad.
she just kicked my butt and shares a picture of last opponent. It was pretty funny.
Oh, that's so funny. It's a good
Yeah.
segue though. I don't know where it's good to talk about it, but like what SchmoopDad was saying is definitely true. When the China server shut down, we saw a massive increase to the number of people in Wild Legend this past month. A lot of times I've fallen into the bad habit of hitting Legend super early and then camping, like playing other modes and kind of camping until the end of the month. And so that's kind of what I've been up to. And this month, but I want to keep my 11x. And so this month, and I'll check periodically and see what my rank is, and if it starts sliding, then maybe I need to do something about it. But this month on the 31st, New Year's Eve, I checked and I had slid down to 650 or something like that. And then I did some co-op with Blue Train and Schmoopy with some Even Shaman, and I just kept losing. I was so frustrated. I was like, screw it, I'm not playing this deck. I hate this deck. Uh, I went to
Gotta play
bed
Ricky
and
like.
it was the day before New Year's Eve, right? The 30th. And then on the 31st, I did it by myself. I jumped on and played some Fish Rogue. But before I played, my thought was like, well, what do I need to do to get down to 11x range? Now nobody really knows, but I feel like I'm typically safe if I'm in about the top 10% or so. And so typically I'm aiming for like 300, 350, right around there. And I went to the Wild Legend leaderboards on the website, and there was like 5,500 people, and I was like, "Holy crap!" Or maybe it was more. Um, which it just blew my mind. And so I played and I played and I played, and I got down to I don't know, it's like right around 400 or so. And I was like, hey, I'm in the top 10%. It'll be fine. And I got it. I kept my 11. But you were saying, I think Reno Jackson kept his and was in, do you say 800 or something like
So
that?
here's the interesting part, and like
And
Ridiculous
but
had shined this light on for me, um, in a server, and I didn't realize that 11x is really complicated to get. Well, maybe it's not really complicated, but like
well,
it's
we don't
complicated
know
to kind
what
of
the
analyze
secret.
from the
Yeah.
outside, but it's kind of based off of total player base playing. And so it like very roughly it correlates with 10% of like 10% like 10% of legend.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why like it's been so accurate in the past to say like, hey, there are 3,500 legend players. You can reasonably assume that somewhere around 350 you keep your 11x.
Yeah.
But I think what is so different and interesting about this expansion has been a couple things. Number one, the Chinese server shut down, which meant that people migrated accounts.
Mhm.
Number two,
Bots.
whether it is necessarily like related, or whether it is just because it's been a good like meta for it, there's been an increase in bots.
Yeah.
So like more bots are playing aggro decks 24/7 and eventually grinding to legend. But also like we had something exciting happen. Like we had a new class introduced, and it's not just like a new class that's just like, oh look, here's a new class. It's a new class with 3 identities.
Yeah.
Like you could reasonably play Death Knight all day, every day last month, and try a slightly different deck, like
Mhm.
like without getting bored, right? Like you can swap, you could do like swarmy unholy stuff, you could do more like burn based frost stuff, or you could be like, you know what, I just want to hit button and pass, let's do blood and let's just go from there. And so like I like that can't be understated. And preposterous hat, ridiculous hat was
Preposterous hat. I like that. There's his call.
was very
alt
like,
account.
guys, don't undersell or underestimate this. Like more people are playing, and we're playing the game mode. And something that's really interesting, we didn't get to go through my week, so I'll do a quick little reset.
Oh yeah,
Let's do that right now.
Okay,
Yeah,
I happened to get my first old leaderboard finish last month at 157. I could have stopped at 94, and then I did the stupid thing of keeping playing Hearthstone. And so I like dropped down to like almost 200, and then again, got back to where I wanted to go. But first of the month I hit legend with 11x, and I was super excited about that because I went 29 and 19, which is very different because my previous other climbs with 11x, I went about 500. So it's like, all right, cool. I got like not only like a positive climb with 11x, but like a solidly positive climb. Granted, it's with even shaman, which like button, drool,
yeah,
button,
but I mean, here's the
drool.
thing though, right? You want to play a good deck, right? I mean,
It's a good
here's
aggro deck, and it's a good meta for it. And
yeah,
it's not S tier. It's close. It's not. It has some counters. I always like when an aggro deck is this good, by the way, because I feel like aggro decks are always going to have counters, right? Like they're never going to be so fast that control necessarily can't catch up. Like it's very hard for that to happen, for them to print cards where that happens. It's usually like
Welcome to the new.
That's easily caught in testing and doesn't happen. But like so I hit legend early, and a couple of days ago I conceded down to bronze 5. And the reason why I did that was just kind of like I want to start hunting achievements. Like I keep like testing good decks and like playing good decks and good cards, and like it's been a month has gone by. I'm starting to get itchy for achievements, so I want to start like achievement hunting and kind of like winning games, kind of moving up from there. And I keep facing either clear Smurfs, like people who know what they're doing with a meta list. Like this very night, I played a full meta secret mage list at bronze 3. Now this is somebody. This is not like from my perspective, right? I'm probably bottom 6 in legend right now. So this is somebody who is honest to goodness bronze 3. And they're emoting and they're blah, 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 and they're playing things and they're doing the right order and whatnot. They know what they're doing. This is either somebody's alt account or they're moving over from another server.
yeah.
Right? Or it's or I face like, I would say meta standard decks, but a lot of them are like, they're standard decks, but they were meta like 2 or 3 metas ago.
Okay.
So like I'm facing like same 40 like XL Beast Hunter that I hit legend with in Sunken City, right? But they're like competent standard players. They're probably 9x, 10x standard players. So it's really weird where I'm like in the spot where I'm like, oh, early in the month, bronze is kind of like, who can move up and who's around. And so like we talked about the legend population. Reno Jackson kept his at 800. Rotted Zombie kept his in the 700s. I'm seeing in the chat that Mountain Man kept his around like 12,000. A lot of people played the game.
1,200,
So,
right? Yeah, but
this was almost like a free month to keep 11x apparently, and like you didn't have to stress about it. You could have just hung out around 600 probably. You probably would have been
I probably could have. You know what? And I kept thinking it has to be semi-based on your win rate, right? And because I had played
It
the
is
broken,
100%.
I had played the broken warlock deck like on the first couple of days of the month before the ban. I hit legend with an 83% win rate. Like it was pretty nutty.
That's absolutely a factor too. There are a bunch of extra legends because people took the new broken thing and just wrote it.
Yeah.
Hydra, did you play any disco?
I did not play the discard warlock deck except for in Tavern Brawl.
It was nasty.
You know what? I felt like I didn't have to play it because I lost to it so many times. To be honest, like I saw enough of it that way. I know Goliath was having a blast and he was pretty sad when it was over. But yeah, no, I saw enough of it in that way. Yeah, like it would have been fun to play it while it was there, but I wasn't looking forward to the mirror matches and whatnot. So
The mirror matches were awful. It's just like who can draw the stuff and like
It was very draw dependent. It was like it was not skill intensive.
well,
who hit merchant? Well, I tell you where it wasn't skill intensive. It was skill intensive in the mulligan. Who
It
was
is, and-
keeping merchant skull and who was merchant hand of Gul'dan and who was keeping merchant barrage? Because if you were keeping merchant barrage, you won.
Yep.
Because you just
Yep.
out damaged the other person.
Well,
Or like
and
the
I
people
think
who are stuck on the old way of doing things of like, oh, let me draw my 3 cards. It was wild. It was different.
I will say I think when it first came out, people were still trying to learn how to play the deck and weren't real good with it yet, and so there were a few games early on where I had capitalized on people that were just misplaying it. But once
wasn't
people started
easy.
to get the hang of it, it's like, oh, it was a kind of a free ride. So
yeah.
If you could get a
anyways,
handle on it, it was an easy trip to legend, but like it wasn't as far as like broken decks go or aggro decks, like there was a lot of hand management and resource management that went to it that I feel like made it a little bit more convoluted than some other decks. I even saw Hijo kind of like admit that in Discord some places where he's just kind of like, all right, there's actually a little bit more to playing this deck than just discard the thing and win the game. Like you need to sort of plan ahead, especially if it's like you're playing against a control deck that's kind of built to kind of beat you. You need to know how to manage your burn in order to win. I miss tome tampering for Mechathune Warlock, honestly. It'll misspeak
Yeah.
part, but
Yeah.
unfortunate.
Unfortunate
Well-
for sure.
Yeah, no, a lot of different factors I think went into why we had so many legends. Whereas again, as somebody who has sort of informally tracked the legend population on NA specifically for probably over a year now, well, more than a year, but unofficially on Twitter for a year. I was expecting probably plus 500 people, and we had plus 1,500 people. So like
yeah.
big influx, which is cool, which is good.
Hey, you know what? I mean, having more people play the wild format
I'll
is
take
good
it.
for us, right?
I'll take
I
it.
think, yeah. I mean, you get. I don't know. I feel like the more support there is for the format, or the more people playing the format, like the higher the chances are that they're gonna see, the return of a wild tournament or something like that. Better than the reverse of people like dropping and leaving and stuff. And I think
But
also
about China getting shut down, right? Like if there's fewer people overall playing the format, it's like, ugh, especially
Yeah.
because more people on China played Wild than Standard. So
Yeah. Well, and I think it's also it's helpful that if people want Death Knight wins, right? And Death Knight is fun in Wild. I don't know that it's like top tier or anything, but it's really fun. And
Still
I
fun.
think it was funky. I think with Demon Hunter a little bit because we had odd Demon Hunter, but there was no even Demon Hunter because of the hero power, and so it was a little bit of a bust. They're just very limited in terms of deck building, but you can do the thing with Death Knight, and so there's some options for people there. So, anyways, speaking about the wild format, right? And
Yeah,
we do have a balance change coming soon. TM.
Well, hold on.
Oh, let's make it official. Yeah.
Welcome to the news. The news is so good.
Oh, it's a new one. I love it. I love it.
It was live, a cappella.
Oh, that was live? Wow.
So good.
Wow. That's so good. That's so good.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. I got distracted. Okay, so Aleco from the Hearthstone dev team posted on Twitter on January 5th, that's yesterday. He says, had some great chats today about our next balance patch, which is coming later this month. We kept a close eye on all of your feedback over the break and will be keeping it in mind as we work on the update. As mentioned in the patch notes, we'll be looking to do some more spicy changes than we did in the previous patch. So there you go. Let the the internet predictions and the trolling and everything commence. I don't know what to make of it. There's no date for the patch, and there's no real hints. All I will say is that looking at the thing that I always keep in mind about balance changes is that they're made based on standard win rates and stuff. And so the first thing that I do is go to HS Replay and look at the win rates for the classes, and they're all playable with the exception, I think, of in standard priest and warrior that are down in the low 40% win rates. And so like warrior's not even a class anymore. It's just so I've got warrior
41.3 for warrior and 41.7 for priest.
So I mean, it is what it is, but like ideally you want things to be in the green zone, not the red zone or the orange zone, whatever. But like, I don't know. I still think that they're not. They probably will probably see some buffs if I had to guess. Death Knight is the new thing, and they're number 8 out of 11 in terms of total win percents. And so like, I don't know. Will it get buffed more? Maybe, maybe not. Will Rogue get hit? Probably. But just because it always does. I don't know. Demon Hunter and Rogue seem to be like nerf targets, even though they're usually like not top tier. They just feel so bad to lose to.
I know at top standard meta, Rogue is an absurd portion of the population.
Yes.
And people thought that Demon Hunter is like overtuned, crazy overtuned. Like
they say that, but the data, I don't know that the data is there.
Well, this data is for the entirety of ladder. Like top meta hasn't trickled
That's true.
down.
That's true.
So like people in Diamond 5 are not net decking the best possible decks or like not playing it optimally or what have you. But like spell DH is very real. I haven't played the standard version. Whenever I play standard, I play Frost DK. But from what I've heard from people who are playing standard, you play Demon Hunter. The Demon Hunter deck just feels head and shoulders above anything else anyone's playing, unless they're playing the Miracle Rogue with the concoctions.
Wow.
I've been playing Blood Death Knight and cleaning house on all the rogues, but I guess when you have 60 health,
that'll do it.
What you lose to is Astalor, Shadow Step, Astalor, Shadow Step, Astalor. But anyways,
so when he says spicy, like to me, nerfs aren't spicy, right?
Buffs are spicy.
Buffs are spicy. So that to me sounds like it's going to be going both ways, right? There's going to be some spicy buffs happening.
I have one.
All right.
I wonder if they put the new Priest Legendary that produces the Infinite Shadow spell. I wonder if they put that to 5.
Oh.
What's it at right now?
So what is it? Sylvia, Sil something. 6 mana, 6/6. And when you play her, she gives you a 3 mana permanent spell in your hand that's repeatable over the turn. You can keep playing. It's permanent. It's stuck in your hand. But you can keep discovering a shadow spell. I wonder if they do something like push her to 5. Because I could see that being like, okay, 6 might be too slow for this really like control value-centric resource. It's one of the signature cards for Priest in the set. It featured very prominently in Worlds, if you guys watched the Worlds at all, because there were quite a few Priest mirrors that went to Fatigue and featured this card prominently. So it wouldn't shock me if they just pushed it ahead like an extra, I don't know, like an extra mana. I'm terrible at balance, so I could be completely wrong. But I would look for that. And as far as Warrior goes, maybe one of the fire spells gets cheaper. Maybe either the draw spell or the buff spell goes from like 2 to 1 or from 4 to 3. I would expect.
Raid the
If they
Docks
really want to
cough.
push in Rage Warrior, that or they make like the new Rush Legendary like a 3 mana 4/4 that revives 3 times. Like something extreme has to happen, because like they have buffed those in Rage cards often enough that Enraged Warrior is probably not so quietly pretty solid and wild right now.
Yeah.
Especially if the best deck is even Shaman and you run Risky Skipper. Like it's a match made in heaven for Enraged Warrior to be decent, even with Devolve being commonly played. The deck is bursty. It has charge from hand that you can buff. And it has new draw. It kind of grows. They keep adding support to the class, and just the archetype keeps like not taking off the ground. I don't think they want to push control. So if they were going to push anything, I'd assume they'd push Enrage.
I want more than anything for Raid the Docks to get unnerved. That's spicy to me.
I mean,
they almost have to be crazy to do it, and I honestly I think it'll probably get some kind of reversion. I don't know to what, but when it rotates. So
I was gonna say, Nate, you're gonna get
that
that the last 2 weeks of this expansion when they do the rotation. Remember, they have that like crazy period where they do all the reverts at once, but everything is still standard legal, and so standard is like an unplayable hellscape for standard players. Because all of like the nerfs have been unnerfed, and they're like, oh god, what's happening? And it's the last 2 weeks of the month, so nobody cares. It's not like oh, first legend of the month. It's like no, like but anyway, we've got further discussion about those reverts coming up when we get to some other important tweets that happen.
Oh, does that mean you would like to talk about what Matt London tweeted?
I would very much like to talk about what Matt London tweeted.
Well,
yeah, so this was something here, and I didn't know what to make of it. I started sweating when I read it. Okay, so here's the Matt London tweet. This was from December 31st, so it was it's right after our last show. He says, it's New Year's and I want to see some fireworks. What would people think if we went wild with wild? Ban all quests, Genn and Baku, Shutterwalk, the 20 worst mana cheating cards. And then it's like dropped the bomb and then left. 72 comments later. Yeah.
How many drinks deep do you think Matt London was when he sent this tweet?
Well,
it was on December 31st.
At least several, because it doesn't say. But
unlucky.
Wait, hold on. It might be on the tweet itself, but there was a tweet like response from Nick Deck Tech that he just said Matt.
Yeah, Matt.
It was at 5:17 p.m. my time, but he's in New York, so that's 8:17 p.m. New York.
Oh yeah, okay.
So
possibly a few.
Some drinks in, but yeah. So from Nick it says Matthew, and his response, sorry. So what I said, I said, to be honest, I'd be pretty bummed if some of my favorite wild cards, staples of the format, suddenly got perma-banned. A rotating ban could be fun, or a separate format. Deck building restrictions make for interesting games. That's how we run our listener series. It's pretty fun. And he responded, me too. And so I don't even know. I think he's just stirring the pot because he wanted to see some fireworks, right? And I think that Ridiculous Hat says, this is a question. Think there's enough of a player base for wild versus mild as two separate formats? And Matt says, I wonder about it, but it's hard to say. Maybe worth trying in a tavern brawl, wild with a twist. So like, I'll tell you my thought. realistically, like they've said for years, right, that WoW is not intended to be a curated format. And I think that's fine. But then and like these broken cards that destroy the format get banned, and that's okay if we have, one here, one there, or like every set Warlock is gonna break something and get a card banned. But like I would be bummed personally, like as a collector, I've got all the cards and I have a whole mess of them in gold because I have a problem. And if all of a sudden, like, sweet, my golden Warlock quest is unplayable because it got banned, like that sucks.
Genn, Baku,
And
Shutterwalk.
and
Yeah.
some of my favorite, like I love the odd and even decks. I love Shutterwalk. If all of a sudden I just can't play those anymore, and they're like, oh, you can have your dust back. I'm like, no, I don't want that. I want to keep the card. And
Like
so
you ban again. I can't play Even Hunter anymore.
right? And it's not just the meta decks, it'd be some of the funky ones too. I remember when
Can't play Even Paladin anymore.
yeah. And so here's my thought, like keep Wild as it is, and if they want to do a more curated format or a format even like kind of like our listener series stuff with rotating, like all right, cool. They did it with Wild for a hot minute and everyone freaked out, or Standard for a minute, and it was like, okay, this season you can play with cards from these 5 expansions,
I don't
whatever it
know
is.
how
Like,
that hasn't happened yet, to be honest. Like, I know Arena and Duels does it, but I don't know why there isn't just a regular constructed mode that does that. Like, I feel like that is how
it
like
feels like
Twitch numbers drop, right? Sometimes the game has been around for a long time. Well, like, let's go. Like, imagine Twitch streamers like, okay, we've got these 6 sets that are legal, like,
dude,
or 8 sets or whatever it is. Like, let's make it work. Let's figure it out. It's just constructed with the ladder the way it is. It's not Arena. Not everybody wants to watch that, unfortunately. It's not Duels. Nobody wants to watch that, unfortunately. It would be, I feel like, a big draw for streamers to play, people to watch. Like, I feel like it would be a win all around. Yes, there's probably going to be balance issues and whatnot, but whatever. Like, have it last for a season and let it rotate next season. Like, it could
I
last a
wondered-
month that way, right? And
I always
then
wondered if Classic was going to turn into that mode, that like Toki's Time Machine. Let's go to X meta after X balance patch, like you were saying. Like you were saying, we're just like let's go to this expansion. Let's re-experience. Like people wax poetic about like Whispers of the Old Gods, or like bring me back to Ungoro. I want to go back to
yeah,
Ash's secret page. Like
yeah.
like bring me back. And so I like, but then what becomes interesting is it, and here's the kicker, is it Wild that meta, or is it the standard meta at that time? Because you do have to make a decision, and I would bet dollars to donuts that the meta they would bring us back to, if they were ever going to turn Classic into anything, it wouldn't be a Wild mode. It would be like a standard Classic mode.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's why I think it should be separate. So I feel like they had a really good opportunity. Classic has turned into Mercenaries, like a really cool opportunity that they've done nothing with. And so, how easy would it have been for them to say, "Hey, Nax out," and like add Nax Ramus to Classic,
I mean, WoW
and,
did it and it was a success. So why not Hearthstone?
right? And then if they want to do something like the cards already exist, I know the UI is separate, but like you could say, okay, we've got this middle format that's going to be rotating, and even if you wanted to do it per season, per expansion, right? Hey, this expansion, that this format, you can play cards from this, and the other. Okay, cool. Next expansion, you can play different ones. And like, don't touch Wild, please. Like, leave Wild as it is. Uh, a- and I'm all for trying different modes and stuff. I mean, we do that stuff with our listener series, and it's really fun. People like it. There's deck building restrictions. It makes things interesting because you're not just playing the meta decks all the time. Like it tweaks things and makes things interesting. But I think it's pretty feels bad if you take some of people's like favorite cards and just say like, oh, they're banned
Yeah.
in your format, you know, and because they're not standard, it's like, oh, they're just gone now. Like,
Well,
no, don't do that.
that's what bugged me about the tweet. Was it's like normally when I'm in like just Discord proper and I'm talking balance changes with somebody, the minute that they bring up, oh well, let's ban wild card, like whatever, insert wild card, whatever it is, my eyes glaze over and I like stop listening to what they're saying because it reveals a fundamental flaw in their understanding of how the balance process goes. You don't ban wild cards. If a wild card is a problem in the wild format, you change it so that it gives charge minions +1 attack.
Exactly.
You nerf it. You nerf a wild card if it's a problem. If it's not a problem, like if it's a standard card, that's when it's a ban. And a banned card will eventually come back to wild. And oh, by the way, we are not all that far away from Stealer of Souls entering wild again. We are not all that far away from the Demon Seed entering wild again. And those cards, when they enter wild, are supposed to be fundamentally changed in some way where they are not going to break the format again. At least that's what we hope. That's what we were told. That's what we pray for. So it's this idea of like throwing around a ban. It's just like, okay, well, I never have to worry about this card again. Like first and foremost, if you ban a wild card, it's like, no, you're deleting a card. And that's not wild, right? Like bans are supposed to be like this band-aid so that they can balance standard without having to also simultaneously balance wild in their card design, which I'm somewhat sympathetic to, right? Even
it's a
though
band-aid
like, anybody,
solution, and
yeah, anybody with like, you know, a Reddit account figured out that switcheroo was going to get busted like day 2 of the meta. Like in 6 hours, literally they revealed the they revealed the card, and in 6 hours people were pairing the darkness with 4. But you know, like bans are very specific and have a very specific like fitting. So I was really unsettled that somebody this high up the food chain was throwing around the word ban when they were talking about wild specific cards. But beyond that, which I did respond to him being like, listen, you're just giving fuel for Reddit to like mislabel using the word ban again. Skipping Genn, Baku, and all that stuff, you can't really. But let's say we do. Let's say we delete Genn, Baku, and whatever. Let's delete all the quests. Let's delete the quest lines. Let's delete the 20 Manny cheating cards.
Then that's not wild.
Have you guys ever gotten into duels at all or played duels?
You know, a little bit, yeah.
I've
not a
dipped
lot,
my
but
toe when trying to get extra wins for portraits, but that's about it.
They have pretty much gutted the format from where it was, maybe even in the summer. Where in the summer it was a high-powered format, probably the most degenerate format of Hearthstone you could play. The buckets were super synergized. The decks were super synergized. Like you required a little bit of high rolling, but like you could play like maximum Hearthstone, where your hero power was synergistic with what your deck was doing, and it felt good.
Yeah.
And that's a really hard thing to balance. But they had somebody named like Ateas, ATES, who was a dev who was really good at balancing it. And since he left, it's like they haven't wanted to. Somebody with a different vision has taken over, and it's almost become like Arena 2.0, where it's like, okay, let's dumb down the power level of everything. Let's make it all like the last run that I had was like a Murloc Shaman. I played like 20 Murloc Shaman runs in a row. Like let's make it all tribal decks. You know, right now I can't speak to where the format's at, but like it's not as strenuous a power level or a difficulty level, and the bucket system that they changed is less consistent. So the reality is like it's probably an easier mode to play, but it's also a harder mode to leverage. Whereas previously it was an easier mode to leverage, harder mode to play.
Yeah.
And I don't want them doing that to Wild, and I don't trust that they wouldn't do that to Wild. If you
Well-
nerf 20 mana cheating cards, the 21st one is now the new big bad. There's always going to be a big bad.
There's always, yeah.
Is
Well,
it one that you can morph around? Like, I don't care if Pirate Rogue or even Shaman is the big bad.
there's
like-
always going to be a big bad.
We can find solutions to those. Those are
Yeah.
aggro decks. That's easy. When it's a fast combo deck or when it's a control deck, then it becomes, I think, maybe a little bit more personal preference. And maybe I'm speaking for personal preference. Not everybody wants to play against aggro, but I feel like you can counter aggro a lot easier than
Well,
you
it's
can counter
it's the
fatigue
circle of
or
life,
combo
though.
deck.
We're all, everybody says that they don't want aggro until aggro's gone and it's a control meta and everybody's miserable. Nobody wants 30-minute games. There's nothing worse than losing a 30-minute game, and like you need aggro and combo and control. Like you have.
We
to
have a song for
the-
that, by the way.
We do have a song for that, and but if you don't have like the Triforce, then the universe is not balanced, and that's not good for anybody. What made me a little bit nervous, like, so, and I kind of feel like, hopefully these were like facetious tweets or like drunk New Year's Eve tweets, but like, so there's a response here. So here's the question, right? Matt, I would love if you guys would tune some cards instead of nuking them. As much as I hate Shutterwalk Shaman with a passion, there are people that love playing that card. And his response was, there are certain designs that cannot be tuned without being nuked. And then follow up picture of Darth Vader that says, if it cannot be tuned, it will be destroyed. And I was like, oh my God, this like Elon Musk took over the Hearthstone Twitter for a minute. And like, it's just like, please don't destroy all my cards because it's a pet project or a funny idea. Like,
He had to have been just having fun.
I know, but like,
I think he was. Can I ask you a question though, Nate? I know you don't like playing against Shutter Shaman.
I love playing Shutter Shaman.
Do you also agree you don't like playing against Shutterwalk Shaman?
Yeah, but it's fine. I can beat it with Fish Rogue on turn 4,
so I
don't care.
What about Hydra List? Do you also not like playing against Shutterwalk Shaman?
I do not like playing against it, and I find it. I don't like long games, so I actually don't like playing as it either, to be honest.
What part don't you like about playing against it? What's the part that, like, if you could delete, that you don't want like playing?
Well, to be honest, I concede at a point where I know it's like an inevitable loss.
I'll tell you the answer.
So like at that point, like I know I'm done. That's my.
So you see. Okay, but is it the Snowfall Guardians?
It used to be Snowfall Guardian, and now it got nerfed to the point that like it's only there to buy you time.
Ashfloor is so good you don't play Snowfall Guardians anymore.
It's you know what it is? It's Flurgle Talks is what it is.
Okay.
But like, I don't want to get rid of it. I think that, so everybody complains, and somebody said it in chat, right? Like, you don't know what you have until it's gone. And they pave paradise and put up a parking lot. Anyways, here's the thing, right? If we nuke all these cards, like, there will always be the next worst thing. And like, okay, Shutterwalk is gone, Genn is gone, Baku is gone. Guess what? Everyone's playing Secret Mage, and you're all gonna be miserable. Like, it's there's always gonna be a big bad. I'd almost rather have them unnerf everything. Like, fine, give us Sorcerer's Apprentice back, and give us Raid the Docks back, and give us the Warlock quest back. Like, just whatever.
Don't give us the Warlock quest back.
Let's see what
happens. I'm kind of being facetious, but like, if you, it's such a fine line of trying to kind of balance a format that they don't want to balance, but Genn and Baku especially, like, they rotated from standard early for a reason, but it almost like Renathal, right, where they were played so much, but.
I wish they just rotated Renathal. Like,
I know,
just
I'm kind of
Renathal early instead of doing this 35 crap. Because like, this is
you know what? When I see like Renathal come in and you have 35 health now instead of 30. I'm like, ooh, so scary. Like 5 more health. Like it's fine.
The crap part.
I'm
It's
still
bad.
gonna push through that extra 5. No problem. The 40
It
was a bit of a
it's really bad.
challenge.
It's really bad. It's really
Yeah.
bad, and it's maybe less bad in a deck like Painlock, which I know Corbett has recently was just like maybe Renathal is just good in the decks where it was like originally first discovered to be good in, like Painlock, and like maybe Painlock, Curse Lock are good with 35 health. Nothing else is good as a Renathal version, and like just cut them from your list. Like
Yeah.
if you want to play for fun, play for fun. God knows that wild players play for fun. we play what we want to play, says the man who's brought Trick Totem to top 200. We play what we want to
Madman.
play. All right.
Yeah.
But it just statistically, he hurts your deck so much now.
Yes. And it, when they added Renathal, it like changed the wild format forever. And there was a couple people that complained, but I think more people like it changed the format. Like, okay. I mean, Druid did some broken things, but like I think the card was healthy for the format. So I mean, we could go on and on and on, but like it just made me nervous. I think that the game in general, like the easiest thing to do in my mind now, I mean, implementing it is a different story, but like just give us a third mode. So fix classic. So like, okay, add Naxxramas to classic or whatever. Keep wild as it is, revert the stuff when it rotates out of standard, and then create some kind of mid format that has rotating restrictions.
It's so weird
And
how we've been asking for that part for years. Like it has to happen at some point.
you would think, but like I don't know. They do weird things. And I don't know. I mean, they haven't announced the new game designer, whatever the title is, the new Hearthstone top dog, president, lead designer, whatever the role is called.
Yeah.
People were speculating that it's Celestalon, and maybe it is. I don't know. But like, maybe there's some new direction. Maybe we'll see a change after the buyout from Microsoft goes through. I don't know. But like, they have this brilliant IP that they're like not really doing anything with. And I understand that introducing a new class to the format was like huge. It's a big deal. It really is. But like, you've got mercenaries that they just let it drown. I don't even understand. And even Battlegrounds, like season 2 ended, and then they did nothing and nothing and nothing, and then you could pre-order season 3 and still nothing, and it's like, well, why not? I mean, you could throw in some more like Nemsy skins, I guess, because but like that's what it doesn't make sense to me. Like they've got this money making machine and they're using it incorrectly. But anyways, when I'm president,
Right.
so I don't know. I'm really curious though to see what happens when they announce the new game lead designer, whatever that job is called. I'm really curious to see if anything will change when the Microsoft buyout goes through. And I think if you look at other games like Pokemon or Magic or some of the others that have true like eternal formats and other formats, like the older a game gets, you can have other formats successfully because the card pool is so large. It's not an all or nothing. Like just add one.
Speaking of the main game designer leads, I thought I would point out that we did get a reference to the old lead who was Ben Brode in our new card back.
I love it. And he responded, I think it was Ben Hearthstone. It was like, hey, shout out to Ben Brode. There's a grilled cheese thing. And he responded to it. It's great. If you haven't seen the grilled cheese wrap video, it's so good. Ben Brode's grilled cheese wrap video. And it was so funny because he lives right by me and the Blizzard campus is like right down the street. And so when they filmed the video, that grocery store, I was like, that's the Albertsons down the street. Like, oh my God, it's so funny.
Let's go hang out there
Anyways.
waiting for Ben Bro to show up one day.
Right? That wouldn't be creepy at all. Yeah, so in chat, there's a question, has Hearthstone been around that long, you think? So Hearthstone initial release date, March 11, 2014. So we are now just shy of 9 years of Hearthstone. And yes, I think it's at that point. There's enough that they could do some kind of like a wild format and then an expanded format or whatever you want to call it. They could do some kind of like middle of the road format. They could. There's enough cards. Now
The only thing that I worry about is if they ever do that. Is if they do that, then
you said doo doo.
haha, do. How many people does that pull away from Wild? Because it's not going to really pull people away from Standard, right? It's never
Yeah.
going to draw away from Standard. This is always a raffle argument against opening some new format that is some sort of, different flavor of Wild.
It would
You're
breathe a
taking
little bit of life
basically
into it,
a
though.
smaller percentage of the player base and you're spreading it thinner.
Yeah.
And like, is that good for it? Does that do a service for any of the formats? And that's always the worry. My worry is like they've had trouble balancing Standard over the past 3 expansions this year.
Yeah.
Right. I'd say Standard has been maligned since like halfway through Sunken City, as far as just like expansion after expansion. They got their control meta they wanted. They hated it. They nuked it. Before they did the big balance patch in Sunken City, we had stuff like Naga Mage and stuff that was like fun and powerful and strong. They nuked it. We had Castle of Nathria was cool, but they built like neutral cards that were too strong. They nuked those, right? Sire, Yo,
Mm-hmm.
New Kel'Thas was strong with Bran. They nuked it. Like they keep nuking, they keep making powerful stuff in expansions and nuking them, and kind of like I feel like they've been like a little bit like lost around what they were gonna do in Standard balancing, and like balance is hard. Like I don't want to just take the devs and just poop on them and just throw them all under the bus.
No,
but it sounds like they're putting out these, look at this flashy, awesome thing we can do, but you can only do it for a month, right?
You know what?
Easily they have balanced Wild better than they have balanced Standard over the last calendar year, without question for me.
I was so pissed that like I still am irritated about it. I think that essentially what they said about Renathal, I think and Denathrius was like, or maybe it was just Renathal, because Denathrius had some issues, but the idea with Renathal, like the dev notes when they did the nerf, was like, too many people are playing this card. This card is overplayed. We're gonna nerf it. It's like, what? You gave it to everyone for free.
What did you expect?
And it was like the iconic card of that expansion. Like, of course they're gonna play it, but like that's not a good reason to nerf it. It was like when they nerfed way back in the day when they nerfed Azure Drake, and the reason was it's in too high percentage of decks.
Yeah.
Like, well, it's a good card, but like when more cards come out, it'll get replaced for something else. Remember when Dr. Boom was in every deck?
Right.
Like
5 mana 4/4, big deal. Like, yeah.
Anyways, so let me bear with me for just a second. I'll try to make it quick, but we had this conversation on the Snap podcast last night, and it was about, so they just announced some balance changes there as well. But the difference between Snap and Hearthstone is when they nerf something in Snap, like there's no refunds, that you don't get dust back or credits or tokens or whatever. Like it is what it is. And I remember, so we had talked about the comparison, and I think it was an Ixar comment a long time ago in one of the AMAs, was that they had regrets a little bit in the dust system because it sort of incentivizes people to get rid of their card collection, which is sort of the opposite of what you want to be doing in a collectible card game. And so going back to SchmoopDaddy's point about, well, would it be funky if they made this like mid-tier level format? Like maybe, because people tend to get rid of their cards. I see the tweets and I cringe every time there's a set rotation. people saying like, "Oh, what cards are safe to dust? Should I keep them or should I get rid of them?" Um, the return on your dust investment or your money investment sucks. Like it's a quarter, right? Like, okay, my 1600 dust legend I get 400 for. That's terrible. It's a, insert Pawn Stars meme, right? Or GameStop meme. I'll give you $7 for that. Giant stack
It's a
of
big
video
scam.
games, right?
It's a big scam. Never dust anything and then wait for nerfs and cash in on the nerfs.
Yeah. So
And if
that
it's wild, then it's like, listen, just like hold on to a copy. Like dust copies, but like hold on to a copy so you can use it.
well, I'm like laughing in Tavern Brawl, but
Oh my god. Tavern Brawl.
right?
Can we talk about miniature warfares for a hot
Oh
second,
God.
or is
Yeah,
Give
we
her-
should. I mean,
yeah.
is there anything else to say on this? I don't know. I just
I don't know.
it's an interesting thing. I just what I really don't want my collection to vaporize because somebody had a cute idea when it's like why not both? That's I'm
Hydra,
just
how would you feel if they just like started deleting cards from Wild with somebody with somebody with multiple accounts?
Ah, man, like so, like I've put in so much time, right? Because that takes time. My other accounts, I've earned those free to play, other than like one mistake once. But I've put in so much time, and if they are just gone, like that's the type of thing that would make me just want to say, okay, well, I guess I'm not gonna do this thing anymore, right? Like if you when it comes to like legendaries, obviously, like you earn that, especially if you crafted it, like not just like packed it, but you crafted that card and it was just now gone. Like how bad does that feel? And that did happen to me a couple times with some nerfs and whatnot. So you remember when Mana Worm was a problem?
We're
wasn't
aging
playing
ourselves now. I remember.
like like
Pepperidge Farms remembers.
yeah, no, so like one of my first EU decks featured that card, a wild deck, right?
Oh,
And they
Wow.
nuked Mana Worm, and like I had significantly spent a lot of dust crafting that deck. And it was gone. I'm like, but this was my free to play account. Like that's what I was doing. Like fortunately I could take that deck and adapt and do something else with it, right? I had opened the Waygate, so I did some other stuff and everything, but like it felt really bad. But at least I mean there's some refunds, but that wasn't a legendary, right? Like if you're gonna lose something that's that integral to the deck, like it feels bad. It really does, especially if you've put that much time into slowly earning these things and you finally, got that deck. Like I don't play a lot of Snap, but I can imagine like if you finally made it to that collection level and you got that card and you're like, yes, okay, I got the deck. Oh, sorry, card's gone.
Just because you're always working towards the best deck, right? Like you're always working up towards, especially at that level where it's like, all right, I'm young, I'm hungry, I love playing the game, I hate losing to the same deck over. I'm gonna crack this deck, and then like the linchpin of it dissolves, and all of a sudden that's not the best deck anymore, and it's like, where am I? What am I left with? Along similar lines, not to the same extent though, Hydra. I had we could still look up the article on the internet someplace. I didn't expect the story to come up, but I remember reading this article. All you need is Genn, and it was like a budget, like standard friendly decks.
Yeah.
And I remember like crafting Even Paladin, and I had Even Paladin. They're like, oh yeah, well if you want to upgrade this, you could get the Lich King, right? And then Genn rotated, and when Genn rotated, it was like, all right, this
Oh
deck
no.
doesn't work anymore. And they nerfed equality from 2 to 4, right? They just like it was like a round of nerfs that absolutely just eviscerated it. And so what that ended up happening, that ended up making me do is like I played one of those old school quests, like daily quests. I played like a Murloc quest, and like it made me craft Murloc Shaman. I was just like, oh my god, these Murlocs are so good when you have all of them working together. Like the synergy's crazy. And then so I crafted Murloc Shaman, and then all of a sudden I'm like a Murloc Shaman main and like standard and wild for a long time. But if I didn't make that transition, I could have very easily just given up and been like, all right, well, like my budget deck doesn't work anymore. I guess I'm done with the format.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It hurts, especially like I feel like any of these changes always like we always kind of like shrug them off, but they hurt budget players more than they hurt like us.
I found your article, by the way. I shared it in our chat.
Nice.
You found it? Oh my
Yeah.
goodness! Oh,
I
in our chat in the Discord.
As it turns out, Google is an amazing tool.
I'm so happy that I remember it. Oh, I can't share it to Twitch chat. Can you post it in Twitch chat?
Yes.
It's a trip from the past. It'll be in the show notes, I'm sure. But like, oh man, all you need is Genn, and like,
there's a parody song there.
There is. I mean, crafting something as a free-to-play player is really difficult. Listen to Ridiculous Hat when he gives you advice on this type of thing. I mean, like for example, I love Rogue, right? And I crafted Myra's Unstable Element on free-to-play accounts because it was an amazing card. Like you play Myra's and you draw the rest of your deck and you get your eviscerates and whatever you need to do just to, wreck your opponent at that last moment. And like, it's not like it was nerfed or anything, but that card became completely obsolete. I didn't even get my dust back, right? Like Secret Passage came out and no one's playing Myra's anymore. I'm not getting my dust back for that. But that's the risk I took as a free-to-play player crafting a legendary. By the way, it was good, for a hot minute there.
Yeah. I mean, there's always going to be stuff like that. I don't know. Having something be completely unplayable would make me just so sad. And part of it is that I like to collect stuff. And imagine okay, we should probably move on, but let me give you all like one other side of the coin here. So these new signature cards that everybody hated the artwork on, they're uncraftable, right? They're not disenchantable. So you open one and now you've got it. And you're either happy about it or you're not happy about it. And what if you really don't like it and now you can't even dust it? Like, wow, okay. So, I'm not that I have a better solution.
I have one. Just don't make signature cards.
Yeah.
You already have diamonds, and like
the diamonds are better.
Have you seen like the Liadrin diamond card?
Oh, dude, the new diamonds are really good. When they first came out, I was like, I'm not sure.
Right.
And I remember Concerned Mom was like, this is the ugliest thing I've ever seen. And I thought it was so funny. They're a little strange, but having the 3D kind of effect and having the heroes like sticking out and animating and swinging their swords and axes and stuff, like it's really cool. And they've done a couple that were really tame, but they've done a couple that are just amazing. And especially in this new set, the Lich King ones are really cool. And the signature cards, I have them all. They were very expensive, and they're so ugly. And you take a card that has a really cool effect, right? Alex Migraine, okay? Super cool card. If you compare the signature card to the golden version, like I'm picking the golden one every single day because it's animated so and it's colorful and it's pretty, and it's a cool card. And the signature one looks like Han Solo in Carbonate, which is like
it's tough. And like it's tough. Again, I think it's just this set, maybe the theme, and I hate to go double back on this again, but it's just like I don't know.
They'll be better next time.
We brought it up. Like signature cards yet again come up. It's just like,
sorry.
Why did they create this? This is just like, somebody had Project Money Grab or something like that just happened to make it to the fore, and people thought it was a good idea because they did it in Magic once. But
so what happens, right, when when heaven forbid one of the signature cards gets nerfed, like anytime one of the the core set cards gets nerfed and you can't disenchant, like, oh cool, they just changed my card and I can't
Probably
I don't
re-roll it to a different signature, if I guess.
I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know, but
that's a good guess.
I mean,
Because
I
most
guess
people
they,
don't have them all, right? Like it's hard
Right.
to
But it's like,
catch
if
them all.
it happens to Nate, it's like, here's the world's tiniest violin singing the world's saddest song just for you.
guess I'll die then. I don't know.
But
It
that's
is
not
what it
good
is,
for you as
but
a consumer. You're the person that they're going to be making probably the most money off. Why would they alienate you? So it's just I don't understand the direction, but that's a different show probably.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, all you need is Genn.
All you need is Genn.
Oh dear. All right. Let's switch gears real quick. And wrap up the show. But Sheep had a great idea of something to talk about. Because it is that time of year for New Year's resolutions. And so the question is, do we have any Hearthstone New Year's resolutions? I was thinking back on what mine was last year, and I think it was I'd have to go back and listen to the show. I think there was two parts of it. One was to try to get double legend every month in standard and wild, which I certainly did not do. I maintained my wild legend every month. I hit standard legend a handful of times, but not every month. I think it also included trying to maintain 11x, which I have done for about half the year. I think I wanted to hit 1,000 wins with Demon Hunter, which I have failed at miserably. I think that's it for me. So I'm trying to be realistic because I have a lot on my plate at the moment, and that's not going to change anytime soon.
I know that I have a coworker that does like resolutions with his students.
Yeah.
And they're like high school age, and he always does like one goal that you think is very attainable, one goal that you think is going to be difficult but you'll get there, and one goal that you're like shooting for the moon for. So like I think you probably hit those.
You know what, I mean, I feel like I did okay.
Format,
I read an article over the past week. So historically, like I'm not really one for New Year's resolutions. It's not really my jam, and I don't know. Like I was always told, like, don't make promises you can't keep, right? And I don't want to set myself up for failure. And in my life, I try to prioritize, different things. Family, work, and gaming always comes last. I mean, I'll try to make time for it, but like when something's got to go, it's like, all right, the gaming takes a back seat. And I've maintained, I've hit legend every month for ages, which is good. And I like what you said, Schmoopy. I think I've kind of what's reasonable and what's not. I read an article over the past week about New Year's resolutions, and the idea of it was like, make a New Year's resolution and don't tell anybody. What it is, because that then you're not setting yourself up for failure, or to like then feel bad if you can't do it or whatever it is, or at the end of the day, just be reasonable. Like my parents always told me, don't make promises you can't keep. And it's not a promise, but like I don't want to feel bad about it. I would like to finally get my 1K Demon Hunter portrait. Like I've been between 700 and 800 for like months now, and I need to just buckle down and do it. Yeah, I need to just do it. So, by the way, do you see Zeddy got his 1K Death Knight portrait within a month?
I
think
he got it mostly in duels.
Yeah, he did.
One good duels hero, and the games are quick, and like
still,
I think that's the most optimal way to do it.
It's so
that's
fast.
Incredible. That's incredible. But and so I'm not going to say, as much as I would like to get 1K Death Knight, like I'll get my 500 over the next year. I will maintain my wild legend every month. That I'll just do it. I will do it. I'm too stubborn to not do it. if I lose my 11x, I'm not going to cry about it, but I enjoy the climb so much more at 11 that I'd like to maintain it. But, you know, I started playing a lot of Marvel Snap and it's really fun. so my attention is a little bit divided.
Yeah.
Sheep, by the way, I will read Sheep since he's in chat. It said mine is to balance New Little Lamb with Hearthstone, and yes, that is very important. Balance is tricky, right? Balance patches in real life even harder than in a game,
right?
At first, when they're little, they sleep a lot. For a little while, I had some great memories of like
Then they
holding
don't.
holding my kid in one arm and like video game controller in in my palms while he was asleep, and
100%.
so it's doable. Family always first, and games on the side. Coincidentally, Hearthstone is very, very well suited to mobile gaming. So
Very
Mobile
true.
only. Mobile
anyways,
only. Don't play
what
on a
about
computer.
yeah, Hydra? What about you? What do you have any New Year's resolutions?
So I think last year I chose, and like you said, shouldn't set yourself up to fail. I chose to hold 10x on a minimum of like 2 servers throughout the entire year, which that was a dumb idea.
It's so hard to
Right? Yeah, because like I don't have necessarily like the time to do that. But I think throughout the entire year, I held 10x on at least one server, but it was never the same one.
Hey, you know what? It counts. It counts.
like it was either Asia or EU or NA. It was kind of like for the first, oh my gosh, like first 6 months, I held it on Asia the whole time, and then I dropped off, and then I grabbed it on EU, and I was riding that for a while, and yeah, so it sort of bounced around. So
you shouldn't feel bad about that. You spread yourself so thin that I couldn't grind across the many profiles that you've got.
You know what? I
Couldn't
would
do
do
it.
I would do it if they let you have your collection on all the servers. Like I would do it 100%. I love the idea of, because like I hit legend and it's like, all right, what do I do now? And I would go do it on EU, but
that was what I first started doing it, because it, like, I would get bored and I would stop playing. I achieved my goal, and that's why I had so much fun starting another account and then doing it again. And I mean, it trust me, it takes a lot of work, but you get to a point where like say Fish Row gets nerfed, right? And that's all you have. You're going to be screwed, right? But
yeah,
I still I can play even Shaman, I can play even Warlock, like I have Big Priest, I've got all sorts of things that I could jump and play. It doesn't really matter at this point because I kind of have a bunch of that stuff. I've got like Token Druid, I've got like all sorts of stuff that I can now. But
I have one deck. I have one deck built in EU, and it's Odd Paladin.
yeah,
so
and I have that one too.
It
like,
ain't happening.
Yeah, the Odd Paladin is not good, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yeah, and so
I think
unless something changes.
So like I guess focusing or going back to what my goal was last year, I'm going to sort of do the same thing. I want to at least ride out a 10x on whichever server. It doesn't really matter if it rotates, whatever. I just want to hold that somewhere. But on NA, I am lacking my 1K hero portraits because of the, playing on multiple accounts sort of thing. So I do need to shore up those shortages of 1K heroes. So I think I'm going to focus on that because some of them are so close, right? Like I was sitting on like 980 Jaina wins for like forever. And then like, I think in December, I just decided to finish it. Like, let's just play 20 games and like get it over with.
Oh gosh, those are like the longest 20 games too, right? Jeez.
Right. So I think there's a bunch of those that I can just, like finish up, get them. And it's kind of a shame almost that there's so many hero portraits now that before, like when you got the 1K, that was like the only alternate, right?
Right. It was a lot more special.
It was a lot more
than it is
special,
now.
and so not that everybody knows what it is, but I will know what it is. So,
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna zone in on those things. And guess what? I never finished the Dollar on Heist. I noticed that recently. So like
Oh,
I was
gotta
going
do
through
it.
my solo content, and I was like looking at all the things because I love.
There's a gold pack in there. You gotta get digging.
I didn't finish it. I didn't finish the last
Oh
like
man, there's
4 and 5 wings or whatever it is. Yeah.
some card. Do the heroics for the card backs too. Yeah.
So I should probably do that. All right.
I like it. I like it. What about you, SchmoopDad?
Yeah.
So I'll go with that 3-goal format, like one that I know is attainable. I think something that's attainable for me. I think I can try to go like a full year day 1 legend. Like I think I'm at the point now where I think I can do it.
Wow.
I still think they're special. I still think they're things to be celebrated. But I think I've got the day 1 meta figured out where whether it's 11x, whether it's 10x, I can get there.
Yeah.
I can get there.
It's doable. It's just a time commitment, and I find myself like being greedy with my time and deciding like, well, I could grind out this legend, or like I could go play some God of War and do
Right.
that later. And like, I don't like the feeling of obligation, but we all have different goals. I like it. I think it's doable. I'm always impressed, and I mean, and dude, because you were conceding down the ladder to do your census so often, it was like consistent day 1 10x climb, which is a lot harder. I mean, it's a lot more games.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's different. I don't know if it's harder necessarily.
Well, it's just more games.
It's more games, definitely.
Yeah. It can. Well, it can be.
Well, it depends on how much you.
I've had
You win,
10x
I guess.
climbs that were shorter than my 11x climb this month.
I will say
My low score was 35 games, 34 games.
I wonder if like tanking your MMR made you go up against easier opponents or
Well,
whatever.
okay, so it does for up until Diamond 5, and then Diamond 5 you play at whoever's at Diamond 5. And sometimes that does match you up against 11x opponents. But like I might be at a point as a player where I'm like well matched against people at that level where I like I'm involved in THL, so I'm constantly kind of like playing those games out. I'm not doing well in THL, but like it's a great growing tool. Where it's forcing me to stay sharp and stay competitive and stay up to date on what's the best stuff. So like I'm starting to plot like, all right, I haven't hit, and this is like one of my mid range goal. I need to hit Legend with Demon Hunter. I'm not worried about hitting Legend with Death Knight. I think I can hit Legend with Death Knight. I think I can next month on a 10x climb, easy as pie, get the Diamond 5, queue up all the Pirate Rogues and the even Shaman bots, and just go straight like full blood control DK and get there in 20 games. Like I'm not concerned about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I think I can hit Legend with Death Knight.
Let me remind you something too, and I think that it's easy for all of us to forget this. I'm sharing a picture in our Discord group chat, but like the percentage, so 75% of the player base in Hearthstone are between rank 25 and 15. The people who are at Legend are the top half of 1%. And so these people that are in the top 10% of Legend, like
That's the old system though. It's a little the chance, but you're right.
It's different. It's different, but like we're good at this game. Like very good at this game.
It's wild, right? Because we also have a perspective on how bad we are.
It's funny to think like that, right? But like we are some of the best players in the format. Like, okay.
I think that the system is still like, while this is the old ladder, it's still relevant, right? Like
it is
completely.
It's easy to forget because I don't think I'm that good, but like we're better than a lot of people. So yeah, I think if you want to do it, you could do it.
But But I
I
think that's
believe.
something I want to do. I think I want to hit Legend and Wild with all 11 classes by the end.
Ooh, I like it. I like it.
Or you could
I think
be
that is possible. I think I had an opportunity to do it with Demon Hunter, and I passed it up. If I got another opportunity like they offered last month, where there's like 3 metas in a row, where like they've changed standard but they haven't changed wild, I could probably tune in on something. But that would be something that like is like my mid range goal. My big goal though is like I want to win a freaking tournament, man.
Ooh.
Like I want to win a tournament. I want to win a show match. I had
word has it there's a tournament coming up. I mean, listener series.
yeah, there's a chance. There's a chance. I'm helping to organize it. I'm surely I'm not stacking things in my favor. No, but real talk. My favorite format probably to play Hearthstone is probably the listener series, and not winning the listener series last time. Spoilers for anybody who hasn't seen the final. It's on YouTube. Go check it out. My not winning the final in the manner that I did. It's fuel, and it's still burning, and I need to extinguish it. I need to win a tournament. Something that maybe you guys weren't aware of is I was involved in like a something called the eSporter tournament, which was basically like a coaching competition between Otters and Martian in a
Yes.
third party. And I got to the finals in that, and was once again the bridesmaid and not the bride. I've had show matches with other streamers, little guys like a guy Maverick out of India who was like, "Hey, let's do this off meta competition," and I was like, "Bet, let's do it." And I got I got Zoo Warrior, and Zoo Warrior was not a great archetype to try and win a show match with, but I did win with the tome tampering, Ungoro Quest Warlock with Dinomancer, and made a full board of Dinomancers. Like it was a great series, but like I didn't win it. So I want to win. I want to win something. Like my inner Spike is awakening a little bit, and I want to win something. So I think that's one of my New Year's resolutions. I want to win one of these tournaments, even if it's just me and 4 schlubs getting together and having like an off meta, like whatever. I want to win a tournament. I want to seal the deal. I want to get it done once.
I believe.
And have that be my moonshot. And like if I get day 1 legend and wild like every month for the next 12 months, like I think I can do that. I think I'm at the point where I can figure that out regardless of what the meta regurgitates up. Right? Like hitting legend with Demon Hunter, I'll figure it out. Like maybe I can't do that at the
You know
same
what?
time I do it the day 1 legend.
You know what?
But the moonshot, I want to win a tournament for sure.
With the 11x, you can do it. Like I'll
That's
never
true.
forget. I'll never forget like how flabbergasted I was to watch people hit Wild Legend with like a 45% win rate. And it's like, what? You're losing more than you're winning and you're still getting Legend? Like, what is this black magic? It can be done. It can be done. I'm gonna piggyback on something that you said though. I think I would also like to hit Wild Legend with all 11 classes. Up to this point I've done it with every single class except Mage, believe it or not. I hit it with Mage in standard.
That's shocking to me.
Never Wild, right? Yeah, go figure.
Come on, Nate.
So I feel like that's reasonable, right? I need to hit
Next
Legend
month,
in Wild.
We're making a secret mage. We're getting it done.
With Mage, with Mage.
Secret mage, we're getting it done.
All right.
That's it. We're gonna load up Dark Secret Mage. We're gonna knock it out.
And Death
dude,
Knight,
you could target the aggro with Secret Mage.
2 black mages,
easy.
2 fatties. Let's farm some bots. Let's go, Nate. You and me.
All right. Yeah, let's do it. Well, I'm talking to the Secret Mage master over here, so.
No, not anymore. I play other decks now.
Well, at one time, I still feel like you know the archetype better than most.
Bring me back to Ashes. Bring me back to Skolo. Bring me back to Dark Moon.
That sounds like an Evanescence parody song right there.
Bring me.
Just saying.
Wake me up!
Oh god.
Oh.
One day you'll get vocals for a parody song. One day.
You know, we'll get there. We'll get there. Yeah, have no fear, listeners. Listener series season 6. We'll be back. We've all just been busy. I'm in the
We're in the
middle of
late stages. We're in the late stages.
yeah. Real life is difficult sometimes, and we all have a lot going on.
NHL is
But
carrying us to the finish line.
yes, he really
Much
is. I
love to
think.
Marty. Love you, buddy.
Yeah, thank you. And we'll get there. We'll get there sooner than later. But keep y'all posted. Anyways, that's all I got. But this was a good show tonight. Lively
Yeah.
conversation, and I think it was actually nice to not have a lot of news. We get to
Riff.
yeah, it's good times.
It's always good just to rip.
Oh,
Oh.
before we end the show, I don't have my soundboard loaded up, but like I have an unrelated advice question for both of you. Maybe you can help me. So we're moving into this new place, right? And as it turns out, so my parents own a rental property, a little condo down the street, and we're moving into it. And they've been renting it out for the past 6 years to the same people, who seemed like dream tenants because they always paid the rent on time in cash and always said that there were no problems. And now that they've moved out and we're getting ready to move in, we went over there, and not only is the place like kind of trash, but like and that's all, pretty easily fixable. But the worst part of it is that they smoked. It was like the lease said no smoking, and they totally smoked, and the whole place smells like a giant ashtray. How in the world do I get the smell out of the house?
What did you try already?
Well, we got the we're trying to clean everything, and it's getting there slowly but surely. But like, what happens is you're in there for a little while, and then you can't smell it anymore, and then you leave and you come back and like, whoa.
Oh.
But we had the orange cleaning solution, and we did the walls and stuff, and then I got this stuff called TSP and scrubbing the walls with that. And it's helping. They washed all the blinds today, and I think that's helping, and we might do some extra painting. But what I want to avoid is like, I'm paranoid that like I'm gonna well, we just have to like super clean it, right? Because I don't want to go and paint the walls and then have the nicotine smell come through the paint. Like, I just
I mean, at that
I-
point, like carpets and walls almost seems to be like
the
the
beauty of
go-to,
it,
right?
the beauty of it is that there's no carpet in the whole unit. It's all wood floors. The entire little condo is all wood floors. So at least there's no carpet to like rip out. So we'll see. But I've never like, experienced this issue before, and like, no shade on anybody, if you want to smoke, like, it is what it is. But like, I don't partake in, and the smell is really not something that I enjoy. So I'm trying to figure it out, and just never had to deal with this before, so I have no idea what to do.
Serious answer, and I have a serious answer.
Give me this. You know how we end the show, so like,
Have you
want to do. You probably want to do the serious one
All right,
first, and the funny
like,
one after.
You might want to like try out some like home cleaning, like professional companies, and ask them like what do you do in this situation? Do you handle these situations? Can you get this odor out of the house? Because they may have equipment that you're not necessarily, like an item like an ionizer or something like that, like a machine that just comes in and just like they'd have in hotels that would be more effective at fully cleaning that.
I spent all my money on signature cards, though.
Yeah, unlucky. Slight misplay. That'd be my serious answer as far as just like something to consider as an option. It's just like, hey, like what do you do with this? My non-serious answer was I had a coworker who had a truck, and in his truck a mouse died. Because it's very easy in the wintertime, if you leave your like ventilation system open in the wrong way, they crawl inside. And then they can't get out and they can't eat, they can't drink, and like, all right, now I got the smelly mouse in my car. So what he did to get rid of the smell is he had an open cup of coffee grind that actually was like an effective, like kind of like baking soda and stuff. So like I would consider in each room having a room of like, like baking powder or coffee grinds or something like that. And that can like, maybe put like a candle in like the grinds or the baking powder and you light it and then you're like, oh, and you can like maybe try burning some candles and maybe that will like, burn off the bad chakra. Like I don't like that might be worth.
What you do is you put a dead mouse in each room, and then you smell the mouse and not the cigarettes. So.
Yes.
True. You could also do that. Listen, you get
How many rooms are there? Are there 5? Dead mouse 5?
You can't get rid of Blue Train. Hey, listen, Blue Train. I'm talking to you, Blue Train. Next time you get the news stuck in your head, Brady Bunch theme song. Done. No more the news. The news is no longer stuck in your head. I fix your problem for life.
There can always be a worse thing.
There's always a big bad. If you've learned nothing from this, there's always a big bad.
Oh my gosh.
Wiser words were never spoken. And you heard that on Born to Be Wild.
That was the show. The show was so good.